Hello and welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about how we deal with hunger on top of just dealing with it, really. And my cup of tea is stupidly hot in my Lord of the Rings milk. Right, so what I mean by that is you're dieting. You're going to have to deal with hunger. Like, I don't care. You've got the choice at the end of the day. So I don't care that you're dieting and I don't care that you're hungry. We can deal with that. We can put things in place to make you less hungry. All right, but there is going to be some hunger. Surprise, surprise. So, first of all, you're dieting. You're going to be hungry, deal with it. At least you have the option to. There are people on this planet that do not have that option. Count yourself lucky. Simple as. All right? So, when it comes to fullness, all right, let's talk about the science of fullness. So we want to be as full as we can for as long as we can whilst we diet. We want to also diet on as many calories as we possibly can. If you are losing weight and you're on 2,000 calories, fucking buzzing, great. If you're having to do it on 1,000, that is just unfortunate. It is how the cards are dealt. You cannot change that immediately anyway. So there are three things that keep us fuller for longer. One, leptin. It is a hormone that is stored within adipose tissue. That is your fullness hormone. It makes sense that as you lose weight and have less adipose tissue, have less fat tissue, you'll have less leptin to keep you fuller for longer. It is a evolutionary mechanism to stop you starving. All right? You lose too much fat in prehistoric, however long ago when we were hunter-gatherers, if you lost too much weight, it basically told you you're hungry, go and find food. Simple. That's what leptin is there for. The modernization of the Western diet has basically completely eradicated what leptin is useful for, but here we are. Then you have gastric stretching, so the stomach stretching. So if you put volume into your stomach and your stomach stretches, it will cause you to feel fuller. It sends a signal to your brain saying that you are full because your stomach is stretched. We have loads of food, so much food. So therefore you are full. Simple, all right? Also increases, this gastric stretches also increases with liquid. So if you have loads of water before a meal, that will also help you feel fuller for longer. And then you have the rate of gastric emptying. So this is the rate at which the stomach empties. It empties slower with protein and carbohydrates than it does fat. All right, that's just how it is. Protein is digested or is emptied the slowest, specifically casein. So casein protein, so milk protein, is digested the slowest. That's why people have it before bed, because it doesn't spike protein as high. It doesn't spike muscle protein synthesis as high, but it spikes it for longer because it's hello baby boy. Are you coming into this presentation? Hello. Yes. Okay. So it doesn't spike it as quickly, but it spikes it for longer. So it causes a bolus in the stomach as it empties. So it's nighttime protein. We've all been caught by that one, haven't we? I definitely have. Casein protein is wank, just an FYI. Then you've got hunger. All right, so you've got multiple hormones. So we've got one hormone, leptin, like holding up the hunger or holding up the fullness. You're very distracting to me. All right, and on the other side of that, from hunger, we've got ghrelin is the main culprit, or the amine culprit, because apparently I can't type, which isn't. If you ever text me, you will know this. All right, and then you've got PYY, you've got another peptide one. You've got the whole GLP-1 pathway. You've got so many things that cause you to feel hunger from a hormonal perspective. Okay. High testosterone and high estrogen both cause you to feel hungry as well. Yay. Then you've got loss of adipose tissue, so you've got the reduction in leptin. All right, like I've just said. Then you've got the deficit. So if you've ever seen my little pebble thing, I've got a little pebble thing up there that I do. But basically, the length of deficit, basically, it just grinds and grinds you down. And if you're in deficit for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, the hunger just becomes almost insatiable, and you physically cannot combat it. And then you've got the size of deficit as well. Like if your maintenance is 4,000, like you can eat 2,000 for a long period of time before it becomes an issue. But if your maintenance is 1,500 and you're having to eat 1,200, 1,000, maybe even 800, which is not uncommon, the deficit's just going to screw you over, because there's no amount of food for 800 calories that's going to make your stomach stretch every meal, as well as give you slow down the gastric emptying. Okay. Then you've got meal composition, so you've got something called food ordering as well, which people typically ignore. Meal composition is usually very ultra processed, and we're going to go on to shit like that. All right. So how do we stay fuller? All right. So first off, I'm going to go through the easy bits first, and then we're going to go into a little more scientific stuff and more stuff that takes a little bit of your effort. So if you want to leave, if you want to sort of shut down the video before that point, more than welcome. So consistency is key. Like if you have better meal timings, and this all comes from sleep timings, in all honesty. So if you go to bed at the same time every day, or within half an hour or an hour of each other, each time going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, and then you have your meals at the same times, you can almost dictate when your hormones are actually going to spike. So you can spike your cortisol in the morning, you can spike your muscle protein synthesis, you can spike your ghrelin, you can spike your leptin, you can spike all these different hormones that cultivate an environment that keeps you full for longer. All right. Then we've got protein. If you have protein at a regular interval, we know that protein keeps you fuller for longer. Keeping you fuller for longer, we know that we can have 4 protein servings a day at 40 grams minimum, 160 grams of protein. We spike muscle protein synthesis 4 times, but we spike leptin 4 times as well. All right, it takes a long time to digest, and it keeps you it keeps you fuller for longer. Fiber, so fiber comes from fruit and veg and starchy carbohydrates. So fiber is the indigestible part of carbohydrates. So you think about sweet corn, for example, the husk of the corn is really, really difficult to break down from our digestive tract. So we don't actually do it. It comes out the way it went in, but it slows down transit time. Makes your body realise that there's more in the digestive tract, so you're not going to put more things in because nothing's coming out. And increase the volume as well. So if you've got a leafy green veg, for example, there's fibre in there, but you can also get a shit ton of volume for the calories. Then we've got hydration. So thirst itself can manifest itself as hunger. Simple as. So sometimes if you have a glass of water before you eat, you will always eat less. Then we've got the danger zones. After each meal, you have a 45-minute period, and this typically is more susceptible the later on throughout the day you get. It's 45-minute period after you eat is the most likely period of time that you are going to overeat. So what we need to do is we need to recognise that we need to cultivate our environment, because our environment beats habits and routines 9 times out of 10. And then we also need to go and be active. So what walking does is it helps digestion, it helps increase insulin sensitivity as well, and also reduces the ability for you to snack at home because you've got nothing in your hand. Okay, so I remember when I used to diet and I was still living at my mum's, I used to have my breakfast, and I used to walk to Costa, which was like 2.5 miles away. Go and walk through the drive-through, order a coffee, if they let me, because some people didn't let me because I wasn't in the car, and then walk back because I hit my 10,000 steps, stopped the danger zone, and had a black coffee in the morning before I even started work. And then on an evening, I used to walk to Morrison's to go and get Pepsi Max at like 8 o'clock at night. So glad I don't have to do that anymore. Then typically when you do eat something savoury for tea, you will always want something sweet afterwards, and that comes from taste fatigue. So you're always wanting something sweet after savoury, because the savoury part of your tongue is just fatigued. So your body goes, right, well, if we're going to continue eating, I want something sweet. So it spikes up the fact that the cravings of something sweet. Anybody tells you that if you crave chocolate, you need magnesium, you need shooting, usually comes from America, because let's face it, their IQ is a lot lower than everybody else's, as we can imagine when they've got Donald Trump in charge. I hope I don't get cancelled though. So one of the biggest issues we have is anchor points, and this is going back to everything comes from your sleep patterns. This is why it's important, because if you have your sleep patterns in place, then you can have your meal timings in place, and then you also have work, you have training, things like that. You can have these anchor points throughout the day. So we wake up, we work, we lunch, we home from work, and then it can continue the bedtime routine, bed, etc. Right? But this allows us to then cultivate when we're going to train, when we're going to eat, when we're going to do cardio, when we're going to do everything, because we know what's going to do. So we've got anchor points. So waking up is an anchor point. Brushing your teeth is an anchor point to you can take your supplements at the same time. Going to make your coffee is an anchor point for you to go to put your supplements in there. All right, putting the kids to bed, then making your meal prepping for the day after. But it allows us to eat at regular intervals because we've got anchor points of those intervals. All right, and this all comes from routines. And what I might say, environment beats routine 9 times out of 10, but this is kind of both, because you're going to cultivate the environment that breeds success and breeds you feeling fuller for longer. So now we're going to go on to the more advanced stuff. So these are the 4 things that I would do in order when I started feeling hungry. Now, it's what I do with clients, it's what I do with you guys, but it's more a case of how we get the best out of the food that we've got. All right, because increasing calories isn't the option when our goal is a photo shoot or whatever. You have to be lean for a holiday. Like, you don't want to lose momentum by coming out of the deficit. So first of all, we increase food volume. So if you think if we increase nutrient dense foods like fruit, veg, low calories, carbohydrates, in terms of potatoes and things like that, you are going to increase the amount of volume that goes in your stomach with reducing the amount of calories. All right, so we switch starchy carbs for veg, we increase green veg. We think about how big a salad is and how much food volume goes in. All right, and we eliminate liquid calories. Okay, because liquid calories don't really do anything for us if we're trying to lose weight. Easy. First one's really easy because most people will just undereat on veg anyway. So when they start dieting and they increase veg, or they start tracking the food and they realise they eat no veg, they'll increase veg and increase their hunger, increase their fullness. Then we go on to using the satiety index. All right. Now the satiety index is something that I actually tried doing a PhD on and tried replicating this. Before my therapist told me that I was actually self-harming by trying to do a PhD. But here we are. Basically, they took 240 calories of each of these foods and then let them have 2 to 3 hours later, let them have access to a buffet. And basically, when they had a croissant, they ate loads from the buffet. When they had potatoes, they ate less. All right, simple as. They used white bread as a control. So white bread is 100. So basically, the theory is, and I want you to take it with a pinch of salt because things on this will react differently to other people, depending on insulin sensitivity and things like that. So do please take it with a pinch of salt. But if you have 500 grams of boiled potatoes, you aren't getting through them. All right. If you do boiled potatoes, boil them in chicken stock. The taste smells better. But boiled potatoes is at the bottom here. So 320 or something, 325. So 3 times more satiating. Three times more satiating than white bread. Okay. So that's where it came. That's where it comes from. So if we increase potatoes, if we increase fish, where's red meat? Red meat's on here. Steak. Yeah. So basically, you think whole meals, fruit, and proteins. Like this, it's nothing that we don't already know from other things. Like we know that processed foods are going to score lower on this because they're hyper palatable. Simple. All right. Well, look, palatable. So now we reduce diet palatability. Get fucking boring. Nobody overeats on chicken and rice. Nobody. If someone ever says to me, I had a bit of a blowout last night, I had a binge, I'm gonna have something naughty. It's never, I overeat on chicken and rice, is it? Never overeat on chicken and rice. Do they? Odin? Do they ever overeat? No, he's shaking his head. You wouldn't believe it. He's shaking his head. Right? We don't overeat on chicken and rice because it doesn't taste great. It's alright. You can make the chicken decent. You can put some salt on it. Yada yada yada. Put some fruit. So put some veg in there to make it a little bit better. But nobody's going to overeat on chicken and veg. Right? It takes ages to eat because it's just no lubrication there. Alright? And nobody's going back for more because that's just what it is. We only overeat on the good stuff. All right. Guarantee you, when you're at a restaurant and there's some chips on the plate and you're like, oh, I'm full, I'm done. I guarantee you, while you're having a conversation, the plates haven't been moved, you still nip at those chips. Guarantee it. All right. And if you don't, you're a better man than I, or woman than I. All right. The less tasty your food is, the less you eat. It is as simple as that. You can come at me and say, oh yeah, but I want to taste good food. All right. Brilliant. Great. But there is going to be a point where your goals are going to supersede your diet palatability needs. That is the be all and end all. You want abs for your holiday, you want to do a photo shoot, you're going to have to eat chicken and rice. Simple. Alright? Because when you eat something like that, you're not blinded by the taste, and you can recognise fullness because it tastes not as good and it takes longer to eat. Simple. Simple. Alright? And then lastly, minimise processed foods. And if we go back all the way through all 4 of these things, okay? Food volume. You don't get food volume in processed foods. All right? The more processed it is, the less volume it's got. The more processed it is, the less satiety it gives us. The more processed it is, the higher the diet palatability. So if we want to reduce diet palatability, it gets really hard to say after like 10 minutes. We reduce processed foods. So we minimise processed foods. By this point, if you've done all 3 of those previous to this, processed foods should make up 1 to 5% of your diet. It should be so minimal. It should be a little bit of chocolate here and there. But then we can start minimising it to the point of where it might be only refeed days that you have a bar of chocolate. All right? Stop eating it. The more single ingredient foods you can eat, the better. All right? It reduces diet palatability. It increases satiation. It increases the volume of the food you eat. All of them lead to you feeling fuller for longer. All right? Processed foods are calorie dense, nutrient deficient, and tasty as hell. All right? And if we just look at the further implications on health, shit. All right? More processed, more calories. More processed, more palatable. All more hunger, calories consumed. All of them. All 4 of these things. All right? Then we can look at the other stuff. All right? Eat less distracted. Eat with put your knife and fork down in between bites. All right? Eat at the table rather than in front of the TV. Put your phone down. Put your iPad down. All right? Chew more. Eat slower. Digestion starts immediately here. All right? As soon as digestion starts, your body starts realizing we're going to be full at some point. So therefore, the fullness signals come on quicker. All right? Have similar meal times. Eat more, sleep better, everything. All this comes down to sleep routine at the end of the day. All right, because if you don't sleep very well, you will want to increase the amount you eat because you're like, oh, I'm tired, I need energy. And then you'll go, again, nobody's going to chicken and rice for energy. They're always going to flapjack or cereal or donuts. Don't know why other people go donuts, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Right? And this is the key here. Okay? Right, and then remember this. You will get 90% of the enjoyment from 50% of everything you do. All right? And this is the law of diminished returns. All right, 90% of the yield gives you 10%, gives you 50, comes, 90% of the yield comes from 50% of everything. Yeah? It's hard to get that last 10%. Right, it takes a lot. So, you can get 90% of the enjoyment from having 50% of the food. Guaranteed. Go back for seconds, it's never the same. Guaranteed. Alright? Then we've got some super secret, sneaky stuff. So, caffeine keeps you fuller for longer. Don't have it after 2 p.m. Water before a meal. If you want to go to the extremes, protein shake before a meal. Carbonated diet drinks. Alright? Carbonation increases stomach volume. Chewing gum. Or brushing your teeth after a meal. Nobody wants to eat or snack when they've got minty fresh breath. And then stay distracted, all right, away from meals. So cricket, for example, is the one time I will probably undereat severely. I'll burn 3,000 calories whilst I'm playing, or something like along those lines, according to the watches and shit. It's probably very unreliable, but here we are. All right, but I don't think of anything while I'm playing cricket. Don't think about food. Don't think about work. Don't think about anything. All right. I think about earning all the time, but here we are. All right, then gaming. All right, gaming's great because your hands are doing stuff. All right, so you can actually pick up stuff and eat. Okay, so if you are watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions. There is my lifelong fat loss thing below if you in the link in the description. But yes, thank you very much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.